Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I don't think I've ever watched a final with that much drama, that much controversy, that much tension ever. Yeah, what a crazy game of football. Honestly, what a wild, crazy game of football. But congratulations to Senegal on winning the African Cup of Nations. Heartbreaking for Morocco, of course, losing the final as the home nation in their home stadium. But yeah, where do we even begin? Of course, going into the final, both teams, in my opinion, favourites. You know, going head to head, you got Senegal, who've won the Africa Cup of Nations before quite recently. You got Morocco, who are chasing their first title. So everything was lining up for it to be an incredible final. If you had told me before the tournament that this would have been a final, I wouldn't have been surprised. I'll be honest with you, because they were the two best teams for me going into the tournament anyway. So it was a match made in heaven in that sense. And yeah, of course, in the game, it was end to end. And of course, in the game, it was end to end, very entertaining. Both teams very cautious as well. A lot of nerves, a lot of tension. And of course, naturally, goals were hard to come by. You know, the game was 0-0 for the majority of part until injury time, where we had a bit of drama. Now, the first piece of drama that we had was Senegal's goal that was disallowed. And Senegal's goal was disallowed because of a foul on Hakimi. Now, a lot of people may argue that the foul was soft, and I agree, it was soft. I think it was a bad call from the referee. But the problem was that the referee had already blown the whistle before Senegal had scored the goal. And because of that, of course, the goal was disallowed. And in that moment, you're thinking, okay, Senegal, they feel hard done by. You could tell that they're upset, they're angry, but you kind of get on with the game. But then what happens after is what's crazy. And I think it's one of the maddest things I've ever seen in football, if I'll be completely honest with you. So, of course, from that disallowed goal, Morocco then go on the other end. They go on attack. They win a corner. And in that corner, there is a foul on Brahim Diaz from Diouf. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that it was a penalty. Yeah, and let me explain why. I think that Diouf, I think in that moment was a bit reckless. You can see that there's a hand on the neck / shoulder, and you can clearly see he has brought him down. Now, you can argue that it was soft, but in an action like that, and as a defender, you put yourself at risk. You know, you put that decision in the hands of the referee to then penalize you. And I think that he had done enough to not one bring Brahim Diaz down, but he's done enough to prevent Diaz from challenging for the ball in the air. So I don't think that Diaz can jump and go for the ball because of Diaz bringing him down. So that's why for me it was a penalty. Now, however, my issue isn't whether it's a penalty or not. My issue is the process of which the referee has decided to review the penalty and then eventually award the penalty. Now, in real time, it looked like the referee wasn't going to give a penalty. Let's be honest. I never thought in real time it was a penalty. I didn't even suspect or see anything. And what it seems like on the visuals is that Brahim Diaz, the fans, and the coaching staff pressured relentlessly for the referee to then review the foul, and then from the reviewing the foul eventually gives the penalty. So I thought that Morocco used the home court advantage essentially to pressure the referee into giving them a penalty, and that's where Senegal felt hard done by. And you can imagine Senegal just had a goal disallowed at the other end for what was essentially a soft foul, and then moments later on the other side of the pitch end up being penalized. It wasn't making sense and end up basically conceding a penalty. So I can understand the frustrations. I can understand the anger from Senegal. I can understand the anger from the players. I can understand the anger from the fans. It looks like, and this has been a theme throughout this tournament, where a lot of people felt that Morocco were getting a lot of favourable decisions throughout this tournament, you know, in the semi-final, in the quarter-final, just throughout the tournament. They felt that Morocco were being favoured in a lot of calls, you know, and it played into that narrative in this moment as well, because what you see is one decision not given to Senegal, and then on the other side of the pitch they get penalized and Morocco get a penalty right at the death. So of course Senegal then decide they don't want to continue the game, which is, in my opinion, crazy. It's wild. I've never seen a team decide that they're going to walk off the pitch because they're not happy with something that the ref has called. That to me is crazy. And I don't think in any sport, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, whether it's NFL, it could be any sport, you can't do that. You can't just walk off the pitch because you feel like a decision's gone against you. That's wild to me. And I don't know what the objective was for that. I don't know what Senegal was aiming to achieve from that, whether it's to restart the game, whether it's to have the decision reversed, which I would assume that would be what they were looking for. Once the decision has been made and the referee said it's a penalty, it's a penalty. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to kind of get on with it. And Senegal won't be the first team this happens to, and they aren't going to be the last team either. So it is something that you just unfortunately have to take it on the chin. You know, you can't sulk your way into thinking that you're going to change it. You know, you got Morocco one hand pressuring the referee to give something. Now you got Senegal and then pressuring for the referee to change his mind. I think it was embarrassing for everyone. Put it that way. I felt like in that moment everyone will lose it. I think it put African football in a bad light, given that it's been such an incredible tournament with so much good football on display. And you got global eyes. It's a final. You got global eyes. For some people, there's a lot of casual watchers. For some people, this might be the first game or the first time they're watching Afcon, and if they're seeing that, that's embarrassing, man. You have teams like Senegal and Morocco that are good enough to even win World Cups now. Let's be real. You had Morocco that, lost in the semi-final in the last World Cup. You got Senegal on paper, I think, can beat any team on any given day. They beat England recently in the international friendly. They're good enough to compete, So we're trying to put African football in a good light, and then you get moments like this where it's just embarrassing, optically it just doesn't look good. And then of course, Mane, being the leader, being the captain, goes and regroups the Senegal players, speaks to the coaching staff and gets them back on the pitch. And now the penalty falls to Brahim Diaz. Now Brahim Diaz in this tournament is the top scorer. He's had a phenomenal tournament. He's been one of the best players in the tournament, and so he has a moment now to write his name into the history books. He has a moment to to become a hero, to create a legacy for himself, in the eyes of Moroccan people. It's probably the most important kick in the history of Morocco, and the responsibility has fallen on his shoulders. So you could imagine the pressure that he must be feeling in that moment. But what goes on to happen next, to me, is absolutely wild. He decides to go for Panenka, which, I'm not gonna lie to you, in real time, I thought he missed the penalty on purpose. That's how bad that Panenka was. I thought he missed the penalty on purpose. Mendy literally just scoops the ball. No effort whatsoever. It was such a tame effort. And that's the problem with Panenka's. Yeah. In that moment, you're just thinking, why? Why do you just blast into the back of the net? Why do you just take the penny like a normal person? The thing about Panenka's is that when it goes off, yes, it's brilliant. It looks genius. But when it goes off, it's so bad. And in a moment like that, in the last kick of the game, in a final, to win your country the first title, come on, man, read the room, brother. Read the room, man. That wasn't the time to do that. And now he probably feels like he just wants the whole world to swallow him up, be able to sleep for quite some time. He quickly went from hero to zero in just one moment, one kick. Of course, in that same breath, you got the Senegal players feeling like they just found a whole new lease of life. They're probably thinking that God done this for them, They felt, of course, hard done by. And in that moment, they're probably thinking it's written for them to go on and win. And that's exactly what ends up happening. Gay in extra time scores an absolute wonder strike. One of the best strikes of the tournament. Straight into the top corner. Goalkeeper Bono had no chance whatsoever in saving that. And of course, Morocco tried, and they tried in extra time right up to the very end to get the equalizer, but it wasn't enough. And unfortunately for them, it's absolute heartbreak. You see the tears in the players, the fans, the staff right at the very end, and understandably so. Their search for our first Afcon continues, and they may never get a chance of winning it in their country again. There's no guarantee that they'll be able to get that opportunity to have it in a final in their home country like that ever again. So you can understand the pain, but they do need to, hold their heads high. They have been doing so well in recent years, from the youth, from the under-17s to the Arab Cup, to the World Cup, and this tournament in the final, they are in a good place, and they are one of the best teams, not just in Africa, but in the whole world. And, they need to kind of find a way to pick themselves up and get ready, because their World Cup is in 6 months. So hopefully they can, carry that momentum, carry that form that they're currently in into the next tournament. And for Senegal, it's an amazing achievement. That's 2 Afcons they won in as little as a few years now. Sadio Mane, unbelievable. The legacy that he's creating for himself now. You can argue that he's probably top 5 African players of all time now. That's 2 Afcons. He's won Premier League. He's won a Champions League. And yeah, he's etched his name into the history books as well, with 2 Afcons now. Edouard Mendy also, Koulibaly. The Senegal people, the Senegal players, the Senegal coaching staff can hold their head up high. Iliman Ndiaye as well. Amazing story for him. He's gone from Westway, which is literally like maybe 15 minutes, down the road from me, playing for Rising Ballers. He's gone from there to then playing in the Premier League to now winning an Afcon with his country. His story has been unbelievable as well. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to Senegal. Congratulations to players. And also congratulations to Morocco for hosting an amazing tournament as well. I had the privilege of obviously going out there as well and enjoying the football out there, the people, the vibe, the energy, the organization of the tournament, incredible. The facilities, the stadium, everything was top notch. And yeah, I think they need to hold themselves high. And I'm already excited for the next one. I think the next one is in Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda in the summer of 2027. So that is all to be a very, very good tournament as well, I hope. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the final. Let me know your thoughts on the tournament as a whole, on the controversy, whatever it is. Just let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until next time, peace.